A community is a social unit or group of living things with a shared socially significant characteristic, such as place, set of norms, culture, religion, values, customs, or identity. The English language word community derives from the Old French communette, modern French, communalt, which comes from the Latin communitas community, public spirit from Latin communis, common. Communities may share a sense of place situated in a given geographical area, for example a country, village, town, or neighborhood. Communities can be formal or informal, ranging from small, close-knit neighborhoods to large, complex societies. Human communities may have intent, belief, resources, preferences, needs, and risks in common, affecting the identity of the participants and their degree of cohesiveness. There are three main communities in which people live: rural, suburban, and urban. In general, a rural area or a countryside is a geographic area that is located outside towns and cities. Typical rural areas have a low population density and small settlements. Agricultural areas and areas with forestry are typically described as rural, as well as other areas lacking substantial development. Different countries have varying definitions of rural for statistical and administrative purposes. Rural areas have unique economic and social dynamics due to their relationship with land-based industry such as agriculture, forestry, and resource extraction. Rural economics can be subject to boom and bust cycles and vulnerable to extreme weather or natural disasters, such as droughts. These dynamics, alongside larger economic forces encouraging urbanization, have led to significant demographic declines, called rural flight, where economic incentives encourage younger populations to go to cities for education and access to jobs, leaving older, less educated, and less wealthy populations in the rural areas. Slower economic development results in poorer services like healthcare, education, and infrastructure. This cycle of poverty contributes to why 3/4 of the global impoverished live in rural areas according to the Food and Agricultural Organization. Some communities have successfully encouraged economic development in rural areas, with policies such as increased access to electricity or internet. Historically, development policies have focused on larger extractive industries, such as mining and forestry. However, recent approaches more focused on sustainable development take into account economic diversification in these communities. Built-up area redirects here. For the highway code, see built-up area highway code. Urban agglomeration redirects here. For city clusters, see megalopolis. An urban area, built-up area, or urban agglomeration is a human settlement with a high population density and an infrastructure of built environment. This is the core of a metropolitan statistical area in the United States. If it contains a population of more than 50,000, urban areas originate through urbanization, and researchers categorize them as cities, towns, conurbations, or suburbs. In urbanism, the term urban area contrasts to rural areas such as villages and hamlets. In urban sociology or urban anthropology, it contrasts with natural environment. There are two measures of the degree of urbanization of a population. The first, urban population, describes the percentage of the total population living in urban areas, as defined by the country. The second measure, rate of urbanization, describes the projected average rate of change of the size of the urban population over the given period of time. According to Urbanization, by Sovereign State article, the world as a whole is 56.2% urbanized, with roughly 1/4 of the countries reported as greater than 80% urbanized. Data is taken from the U.S. Central Intelligence Agency World Factbook estimates from 2020. A suburb, more broadly suburban area, is an area within a metropolitan area, which often contains most of the area's economic activity, which may include commercial and mixed use. A suburb can exist either as part of a larger city, urban area, or as a separate political entity. The name describes an area that is either more or less densely populated than an inner city. In many metropolitan areas, suburbs rise in population during the day and are where most jobs are located. Being major commercial and job hubs, many suburbs also exist as separate residential communities within commuting distance of a larger city, cf. commuter town. Suburbs can have their own political or legal jurisdiction, especially in the United States. But this is not always the case, especially in the United Kingdom, where most suburbs are located within the administrative boundaries of cities. In most English-speaking countries, suburban areas are defined in contrast to central city or inner city areas. But in Australian English and South African English, suburb has become largely synonymous with what is called a neighborhood in the US, but it is used in contrast with inner city areas. In some areas, such as India, China, New Zealand, Canada, the United Kingdom, and parts of the United States, new suburbs are routinely annexed by adjacent cities due to urban sprawl. In others, such as Morocco, France, and much of the United States, many suburbs remain separate municipalities or are governed locally, as part of a larger metropolitan area, such as a county, district, or borough. In the United States, regions beyond the suburbs are known as exurban areas or exurbs. Exurbs have less population density than suburbs, but still more than rural areas. Suburbs and exurbs are sometimes linked to